This has nothing to do with skincare, but I could not share this. I feel like this is about to change somebody's life, and someone else needs to hear about this. I've been doing some research into these herbs that tighten you up. They tighten your stomach muscles. They tighten your down there muscles. Like it's a toning herb, and it's nothing new. Like, these herbs have been around for forever. So one of these herbs that you've probably already heard of, especially if you are Jamaican, because I've seen it making the rounds, is Cassia Fatima or Cassia Fatima. That's the English name. The botanical name is Labicia pumila. It's an herb, and it does wonders for a woman's down there. This is one of those things that you can take orally, either in the powder form, like in a pill, or some people make a tea out of the leaves. But you can put it in your yoni steaming, concoction, whatever you want to do, but it makes a big difference. Another one that I have not seen making rounds in any herbal or weird Jamaican circles is gal nuts, oak gal. It's also called well, let me get the because that's like more of like, I don't want to say the American name, but a lot of people might not know it by that name. The botanical name is Quercus infactoria. General name is manjacani. It's made by oak gal. So gal nuts, and that's made on a tree. It's wild. It has to do with this type of tree sap that the tree produces. If there's let's say a wasp or something like that, or some type of insect venom, and it makes this big cyst like thing on the tree around it, so made up of the tree sap. So it's grown in Asia, Persia, Europe, Iraq, Turkey, Syria, Iran, Greece. Yeah, so you can find it around, and of course we are able to get the supplements and everything over here. Now when it comes to feeling loose, tightness, if you do hours and hours and hours of research, if you get addicted to things like I do, I just go all in. Sometimes my research lasts days, but also I use a lot of just personal experience. A woman's looseness, I don't really like calling that. I just feel like the thickness of her walls is a big determining factor of that is genetics, of course. Some women have very narrow, long vaginal canals. Some have wider canals. Everyone's different. And the funny thing is, just because someone is big boned, or just because someone is petite, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have a wider canal or a thinner canal, or there's going to be more pum meat on it. You can't really tell. It's kind of like looking at a man and trying to tell his size. Lots of people say, oh, well, look at the hands, look at the feet, but sometimes you're just surprised. So it's a lot like that. A lot can mess with just the elasticity. It's very elastic. I hate, okay, one of the things that I hate is people saying that too much sex loosens a woman, and no, hunt, trauma, blunt force, will mess with it. Trauma as in having a child. If you're pushing out a child with, heads about this big, and, not even counting the shoulders, or if you're putting a plunger in her to get this kid out, women have, and men, men have said that, when their wife, after childbirth, after, a few months afterwards, it's not necessarily looser, but it feels like the furniture's been rearranged. So it's the same room, the furniture's a little rearranged, it's a little different. Now, multiple children, of course, and age. Age has a huge factor on how quickly you're going to snap back. These are the factors that really can change, I don't want to say completely your anatomy, but it can change your muscles, your walls. your poom poom meat. Having sex too much, I mean, girl, you could have a different sex partner every day and they'd be like, oh, she must be loose, her walls have been blown out. But what about the married people who've been having sex with the same person for like 10 plus years, you know, multiple times, whenever they want, they have sex pretty much on a whim. They don't have to worry about meeting up with someone or, you know, being in a relationship or not. Like, trust me, people in, you know, monogamous relationships, they tend to have more sex than people who are single, because of course you still have to find someone to actually have sex with. So, and then if you're sleeping next to someone every single night. So anyways, the whole, oh, too much sex will do it, not necessarily. It all depends on the genetics, children, and how your body react after. For most of us, I mean, it's a muscle, it will snap back. Some people have problems with their stomach going back after childbirth. You know, sometimes those muscles are never the same, and it can be said that the same could be for down there, but this doesn't happen to everybody. There are some women, and I'm one of them, where sex is more pleasurable and more intense after we have our first child than it was beforehand. And yeah, for some of us, sex was, I mean, it's painful. It's, I don't know. There's just so much. Women are always worried about, you know, men with a, you know, a huge, massive, like, baby arm. And it's like, not every woman needs a baby arm. She's worried about a man who could fit her. So every woman's, you know, idea of what is a big peen and a small peen is going to be different based on her anatomy. Okay, so let's get that out there. So if you do have a man who is, the average I think for America is about 5 inches, and I'm not sure how many centimeters, but yeah, in between that, 5 and 6, you know, it varies, but you know, that's the average. Obviously different ethnicities, again, some of this stuff is genetic. But moving on, I just want to say, for everyone it is different. So back to tightening. So after your baby, it could feel better, but there might be some things that you will notice. Maybe you are queefing more. Queefing during sex, I mean, for some people that's just, I mean, it's just normal. I mean, something's going in a hole, air is getting in. I mean, it happens. But queefing just all throughout the day, it's like, what's happening? So I had to look into that, because yeah, I'm petty. I like to know, am I getting loose? I'm also not in a relationship, so I'm not having sex regularly. And as someone who's really into just my health and especially my muscle mass, growing different parts of my body and shrinking others, I know that if you're not using those muscles on the regular, they do lose muscle mass. Your Kegel muscles, your pelvic muscles, if you're not using them a lot, you do lose the ability to suction cup up on it, okay, like a little vice grip. Okay, you will lose that. So lots of people say, oh well, if you stop having sex for like a year, it'll go back to like you were when you were a virgin. And hun, I have done over a year no sex. That does not happen, trust me. People in the Middle Ages and before then, that could have saved lives, from how some of these girls had either been raped at a young age, or you know, maybe they had a lover and then they tried to get married, and it could have been from years before. Trust me, it never goes back to how it was when you're a virgin. Once that hymen's broken, it's broken. So I don't really like this idea. Sure, if you don't have sex for a while, it will shrink down maybe to its original size, but as soon as you put something back in there, and also the juices get flowing. Again, if you don't masturbate on the regular and all of a sudden you're having sex again, you'll notice that you may not produce as much of your personal fluid as you normally would when you are always active. And literally, it's like you're clearing the pipes. You'll notice once the pipes get cleared and as a woman is more aroused, things relax. So making it not as tight, which if it's too tight, it's uncomfortable. No one wants tight and dry. Too much friction is not a good thing. I mean, there's so many misconceptions. out there about looseness and not having sex or having too much sex. And as someone who's done it all, been in committed relationships for 7 years, been celibate for longer than a year, trust me, I've seen it all, and I've heard it all from a variety of different people. Now these, I would say this is serious. So if you are married and let's say your husband, a lot of people that I know, they have multiple children, and it's not a wonder of, am I getting loose? It's they feel like something is seriously different. So using something like galnut or what's the general name? Mangiacani, Quercus infectoria, that's the botanical name. Using something like this, it's gonna get it tight. So if you don't necessarily need this, you're gonna make it to where you are so tight, sex is gonna be uncomfortable for you. And I don't wish that on anyone. Sex should be something that is enjoyable. Should be something that's enjoyable. Maybe you are with a man who has a very small peen and it's not, you guys don't necessarily fit like puzzle pieces. Then you may be able to help him out by using something like this. And yeah, it could make up for the difference. I tried this within a day, and now not sexually active, so as far as putting a peen in there, obviously I have toys, so I can sell toys, but you can feel the difference just by even doing a Kegel. The Kegel is intense. Trying to put a finger in there. Some people, it gets so tight, they're like, I had to struggle to get a finger up there. It's gonna make a difference. With the Mangiacani, the galnut, it tastes terrible. So you can use the root, you can boil it in water, you can use some powder, boil it in water, make a tea out of it, get it down, take it with some honey, or get it in a supplement form. If you get the powder, then obviously it's cheaper for one, or if you just get the pure root, cheaper for one, you can break it down, it'll last longer. If you get some of the supplements, of course they're gonna be more, and then, you know, you're reduced to how much is in, you know, the dosage, so you might have to take a few more pills. Doing 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams of this is crazy. Most supplements you'll see they're like 500 milligrams or under. So if you take 2, or no, some of them are even like, I saw like 350. So you're only getting like up to 700, but it's enough to make a difference. Okay, so be careful with this. It's like a less is more type thing. You're gonna have to play with the measurements on your own. This one, no, I've not been queefing. There's definitely a difference down there. This one, you can try this. This is by Major Curves. You can get it on Amazon. But it might be cheaper if you get just the pure Libicea pumila. This is the Cassia Fatima. So it might be better if you just get it and make your own than trying to do, you know, a packaged version. Of course, like I said, you're restricted to how much is in the pill. It says take 2 pills, and I think, does it even tell you how many? It just says 1,080 milligram, but it's a blend of Cassia Fatima is the first, and then they have Caillou Repet, and then of course they have guava leaf. So you take 2 of these, you're at 1,080 milligrams. So, but it's going to be a little bit out of those 3 herbs. So if you just get the powder, you just get the leaves and you're just making the tea. A lot of Jamaicans, they just make the tea and drink that with some sea moss, some Irish moss. But that'll have you just on wet, like gushing. Yeah, it works. You will notice a difference. Let's say, okay, now it's hard to say this because for some people, I understand that you need more tightening than others. So if this isn't really a problem and a man has never told you, hey, I can't feel your walls, then you're probably going to see difference within 3 to 4 days. But let's say you have like uterine prolapse or something serious, which Oh, I did not know how many women that affects. This is something, again, can come with age and can come with trauma, bearing children. Yeah, it's really scary, but you may need up to the 3 weeks. But people, even with very severe cases, 3 weeks and their husband was asking them, what did you do differently? This is different. It was so tight, and they come so quickly. That's why this isn't for everyone. You make it too tight, they're going to come too quickly. You might not get off as fast. This would be great if you have a partner who has ED, or if you are like SW, or you have a sugar daddy and he's older and he can't keep his erections for as long, because it's going to come fast. So I just wanted to share that. And I hope this video made sense. Don't take my word for it. Look into it yourself. And that's all I got.